So, how to practice is as important. You get that by clicking on resources here, and then teachers free resources. The first of the resources I'm offering is teachers free resources, and in there you have, of course, all of you knows, you have how to use like technical stuff, how to use Pronto, how to use Canvas, the books I recommended, and then the folders by level: low intermediate folder, intermediate folder, high intermediate folder, Vietnamese songs, Christmas songs. Then you have for printout, warm up 5 fingers, the Hanon, the sight reading folder, which is categorized by level, and the entire big folder that has all of these subfolders inside is here. And then the how to practice is there. There's a presentation folder as well. And then the technique that we did a lot of today is under this big folder of technique. And then I put in here some videos as well for technique. We covered again open position a little bit today, but more. And this might be just more explanations rather than a practice. And then there's also some theory video. So these are all videos. Okay, so that's all under teachers free resources on your Canvas. But in your how to practice, since we're there, of course, one hand first. The second thing is each hand has their own thing to do. So we were at the point where we're putting together 2 hands, right? Before your attempt to be doing that hand together, oh well, here's the humming first of all. Yeah, I can't scroll if I'm on a notation. That's the part of that. Humming the melody is right here. When you're practicing your left hand chord, try to hum the melody. Your goal then should be the entire song, that to be able to play your left hand while humming your melody. And that's under just practicing left hand. Now, when you get to putting your 2 hands together, the entire thing is to know how to chunk it. But before you, okay, now you know where to chunk it. Before you put it together, you alternate hands. And you want to check for notes, rhythm, fingering when you're doing that small chunk. So let's say, okay, I want to do the first small chunk, which is just that's it. That's my small chunk. What are the chords that go with it? That's it. I've done 3 bars. So that's my small chunk. And then that should be easy for most of you. So I alternate hands. And then here's my C chord, G7, C. And it goes with C with C chord. Next note with the G7 chord. Next note with the C chord. And even if it's easy for you, then you could do broken chord. Just go up, G7, broken chord, and C. And I do C again. Because if you look at the music, you'll see that C is for 2 bars. Here it is again. And in fact, I'm starting my second chunk like this. Let's practice the second chunk. So let's do it block first. So notice that my chord has to be played first, because chords always play on beat 1, and then you're counting. So you play your chord, then you're saying shh, then you're saying, and then you play this, which is just a lot of steps. So before I do it, I alternate my hands. I remind my right hand what it does. I remind my left hand what it does. C, F, C, G7. So what does my right hand do? E, step up, repeat, and step down, and then back up, and back down. That's that blue chunk. I'm reminding the right hand what to do. One more time. E, step up, repeat that one, step down, and hopefully you have printed the paper when you're practicing along with this video. So, and what is the chord? So at first I start with C before my melody begin, then I F, and then C, and then G7. So it's C, F, C, G7. What is right hand doing again? I alternate hands to repeat that, and step down, and back up, and down. What are the chords? C, F, C, G7. What is the melody again? So I keep alternating my two hands, right? Two. And how do they fall together? So I'm going to let you try on your own because you have the music in front of you first. And again, we're doing C chord here as a start point. Then a melody comes in. So don't play this note, okay? Because that's a tie note. You're only playing a chord. Then don't forget to count. Shh. So play your chord, count, shh, then you can start. Okay? You've practiced. Pause the video, practice, practice, practice with what you see. And then let's see if it matches this. So your chord first. You count shh, the rest. F with F chord, right? Repeat that F. Back to E with the C chord. And you end a D with G7. So stop the video and practice that with block until you're comfortable. Then maybe you can even do broken. Those of you who are at this level, you do broken. I would not recommend it unless you've already played the entire song with block chord. But if you're here at this point, you go C chord, broken, because there are 2 beats before your melody begins right here. When you have your C chord, you have 2 notes beginning in your C chord. And only on the top note do you begin your melody here, right? So if you're doing broken chord, that's how it fits together. Your chord broken should be playing C and E first, and only when you're playing your thumb on G does the melody begin. So pause the video and try to practice all of this with your proper chord and the broken chord. And if this entire chunk is too big for you, you can't do it, then what do I recommend? Smaller chunk. I would recommend you only get to the first note of your changed chord. Just get to here. Then after that, I would recommend you try only from this F chord to this first note of this C chord. I'm really chunk it up into a very, very small portion. So if this is too much for you to do broken chord, only go what I circled in orange with the broken chord, with the first note of the F chord here. Then if that is good, then you go from the F chord to the first note of the C chord. Okay, so let's see how that works. If I do it in that small chunk, I would go C chord just to enter my melody correctly and get to the F chord with the melody. The F chord is starting. And that small orange block. And if I get that, then I start from that F chord and get to the beginning of the next C chord, and I stop that. And if I get these two chunks, then I link them together, right? So I've been practicing this chunk, which I'm maintaining orange, and then I've been practicing that F to the first note of the C. Now I can link together. So the chord begins and the melody, F chord. Yay, I did it. Pat yourself on the back. And finally, do the last chunk, which is this one. Just the last chunk by itself, without these chunks. C chord to G7 chord, melody E, D, E, D. So C chord with the melody, just one more time, C chord with E, D, E, D. When do you change chord? Well, you just go one note at a time in your chord. When you reach your thumb, you need to change chord. That's how it goes together. Here is the music again. So we've been doing the E, D, E, D. Okay, now if you got that, and previously you have had this chunk in orange, C chord to F chord, and this chunk in green, F chord to C chord, and you can attempt the entire thing. But that's how meticulous it needs to be in order to have it facilitate your learning. Okay, so now if you are doing this entire thing, it should look like this. So you're starting with the C chord, 2 notes, then the melody starts. E, F with the F chord, repeat the F, E with the C chord, E, D, E, D, and then G7 for the last D, and another G7, right? Okay, I've been playing up here, but your hand should be further apart. And that would be for the closed position. And so on your own, with the knowledge you have, and because you're in intermediate class, I'm not going to demonstrate the rest of the song, because if you really want to put your two hands together, like I said earlier, replace this with the broken chord, replace this A minor with a familiar chord like C. And do write in the repeat of your chord, like C here, and we repeat G7 here, just so that you visually have something to remind yourself that you're repeating the G7 here and the C here. And then practice in chunk by following how to practice guide, and you should be able to go through the next line also in small chunks. So I would go this together, or rather this plus the first note of the next section. So I would go from here to there. So what does that mean from here? It actually means that you're going to start your G7 chord. So it's actually a chunk that encompasses the beginning of the chord before your melody begins. up to the first note of that chord. There are two difficulties there. First, you have to start your chord with 2 beats before your right hand comes in. The second difficulty is this little comma. Your right hand will change position. Remember to X out my typo error here. There's no number 1. Your right hand will have to lift and then position your right hand in that special hand position that we've talked about and practiced earlier in the right hand. So if you can get over that difficulty, you're good, right? So there's a lot of difficulty when you're coming from beginner's class to just get the first note of that C chord in. So do practice in very small chunk, as I've explained, and alternate your hands. What is right hand doing again? Well, it's only starting here. G, A, B, C with the number 2. Right. G, A, B, switch your hand position, C, and stop there. What is the left hand doing? Well, it's doing a G7 chord, then the F chord, then G7 chord, and the first note of that C chord. That's in the case of broken chord. If you're doing a block chord, of course, you can just play G7, F, G7, and actually do the A minor, because it's a little easier to do block chord. So you could do A minor, or you could just decide to do, that's up to you. Okay, so only a small, tiny little chunk. And if you have that chunk ready and things are good between your 2 hands, I would link it back to the first line and that chunk first before I move further. And if your brain is not being taxed by playing 2 hands from here all the way to here, only then do I start playing from here. That chunk. Because I know that this chunk is going to be easy, because I have not much to do in the right hand. So the last chunk can be left at the end. And that's how you would practice to get hands together with broken chord or something challenging.